Okay, so today I want to go over what is a Zestimate and how do we find it. So from the script, we've talked about what Zestimate is and why we're going to need this information. Basically, this is something that we would it's a tool that we use to determine the price of a home. Okay, so like a estimated price of a home. So pretty much we use this tool to help us determine what kind of offer that we want to make to the homeowner as to the price we're offering. So Zestimate gives us an idea as to what is a fair market value for this home. And obviously, if we want to make an offer to the seller, we want to make a fair offer rather than a ridiculously high offer. So let's say sometimes maybe a home on Zestimate is going to show maybe $800,000, and if the seller wants 1.2 million, then we'll know that it's way over a fair market value, from what the seller's asking for. Then when we call them on the phone, we'll know that we'll have to write that down in our notes so we know that maybe the seller is not realistic about the market. This way we'll know what to do next. So that's how important estimate is. In order for us to find a qualified seller or the sellers that really want to sell for a fair price, we first need to know Zestimate, okay? Because not all the sellers will tell you the price that they're willing to give you on the phone. So when if we were to be able to find out a fair estimate of the home value, then we know what to do next. So that's how important it is. So step one, let's talk about where do we find this. So there are two ways that you can find this estimate. Basically, when you're already talking to someone on the phone with the seller, you'll see the screen. Okay, you'll see the seller's name, the address, and obviously if you're following a script you'll know that this person might be interested in selling, and that's why we're discussing about this subject. And let's say if you ask them the second line, if you did a sale, what price would you consider, and they're like, what offer can you give? The next thing we need to do is, this is a dialer interface, we need to press the Zillow button. Okay, we'll go over the how to use the dialer later on, but just to give you an idea right now, we'll press the Zillow button over here. Zillow is a website where that all the buyers are searching for the homes that are for sale in the marketplace. Okay, so this is a real estate um, house listing website that has all the for sale homes. Okay, so that's the link. So what Zillow does is, for every single address in the United States, they have a specific link that takes you to the address, the property, and gives you the estimated amount of the price of the fair value. So when you see a dollar interface over here, you'll notice that this is the address, right? And if once this seller pops up when we're talking to this homeowner, when we get to a point where we know he's interested, but he's asking us what kind of offer can we give, we need to press this Zillow button. When you press this Zillow button, it's going to take you to the Zillow website of this property. So it's going to look like this, okay? And then on this page, you'll be able to see that there's a Zestimate here. So based on Zillow, the fair market value for this home, which is his estimate, is 563,000. Okay, approximately that's the price. That's how much this home is worth. So when we make an offer, we would ask the seller, would you consider 560 for your home? Okay, I'm going to talk about the price later, which we just try to round it up. We don't need to give them, would you consider 563.14? We don't ask that. We just ask them, would you consider 560? We only give out a rough number that's a little bit lower than his estimate. Okay, don't give 570. We can all call it a roundup, but we want 560 instead. If we can ask them 560, then 560. Because a lot of times people just call these homeowners and they just give up a crazy price, crazy low price. Like, do you want a 400? Which a lot of homeowners will get turned off, and just hang up the phone. So we want to ask him, would you consider 560 for your home? And then, we're going to go on with the script, which I'm going to go over, in depth when we talk about the script. But this is just to give you an idea what Zestimate is and where to find it. Okay. So moving on, let's say when you click on the Zillow link and it doesn't show up any address. So what you do is there's a property address. Okay. This is a property address. Okay. Let me just break it down. 11521 is the street number. 122nd Street is the street name. So for all addresses across the United States, there's always a street number and a street name. The street number might be anywhere that goes from one number to five numbers. So it might be 2 Scottsdale Street, or this in this case this is 11521 122nd Street. So there's always something before the street or the avenue or stuff like that. Okay, so this is the address. This is the name of the town. Okay, this is the name of the state, and this is the zip code. So in the United States, there's always a town name within a state. There are 50 states, and then there's always a zip code. Zip code is tied closely to the town. So if I were to enter 11420, it's gonna show up which town it is. So that's what zip code means. Okay, just to give you guys a background of how to correctly say the address or how to read the address, because a lot of times when we call them, the sellers might ask you, okay, which address are you talking about, or which property of mine are you talking about? Then we need to tell them that, okay, so we're referring to 11521 122nd Street. Okay, that's pretty much what we do. So if we were to go to this scenario, if we can't find the address on Zillow, what you do is you just type remove this dash. Okay, a lot of times if the address, see, for this case, it's connected, right? Zillow doesn't have dash, but a lot of addresses will have dash. So once you click onto Zillow and if it says that it doesn't show the results, what you do is you go up to the URL bar, which will look like this. And if you see a dash between the street number, you have to delete the dash. Once you delete the dash and then press enter again, then it should show up correctly. Okay, so that's what you do if you encounter situations like that. So for next, I want to go over how do we say the address. I mentioned a little bit about them before, just a few minutes ago. So for this, we say 11521. Okay, so the first 3 digits, we just assume that if it's over 100, we say 115. It's the last 2 numbers are always under 100, so there can only be 5 digits at most. There's no way that's going to be 6 digits. So it's 11521. So if the seller were to ask us which property are you referring to, we say the property on 11521 122nd Street. We just say that. Okay, we don't need to say the whole thing. Like I said, don't say town and zip code, because that's just how we communicate. Usually for this exact address, there can only be one in the whole United States. So we don't want to sound like we're foreigners, right? So we just tell them we're talking about the address on 11521 122nd Street. Okay, so that's how we say it. And a lot of times, if you encounter people that are like, confused about who you are actually looking for, then we might need to ask them, are you the owner of 9442 109th Avenue? Okay, so sometimes we might use this, but I'm just kind of letting you know how to say it. We don't say dash, we don't say 94-42, we just say 9442 109th Avenue. But we usually don't need to use this when we're running down the script, but sometimes the owners are confused. Sometimes the owners are asking you which address are you, in particular, are you calling about, then we might need to confirm and ask, say the address. Okay. And so these are the address abbreviations, okay, for the street names. Okay, like I said, this is a street number, this is a street name. Sometimes it's street, sometimes it's avenue. So RD means road, okay. ST means street, AVE means avenue, CRE means crescent, CT means court, EXPY means expressway. This is boulevard, this is drive, this is lane. Okay, we don't usually need to, you know, say it out the address, but just in case, I want to give you guys this idea. And if you ever encounter situations where you forget about this, then you need to rewatch this video again. Okay, so now this is the town. Like I said, this will be the address that you will be seeing on the dialer. This is the name of the homeowner. So on the dialer screen, it's gonna look like this. Okay, like I said, it's gonna look like this. On the upper left hand side, you will see the owner's name. Okay, this is the homeowner of this address. This is the address that we're calling about. And after the first line, if their initial response is yes or maybe or how much are you offering or what kind of offer or it depends, that means they have some type of interest, like I said from the script um, tutorial. Then we'll follow up with the question of, if you did decide to sell, what price would you consider? Okay. And then if they ask us what price can you offer, then we'll need to use the Zillow and then we'll find his estimate. Okay, like I went over a few minutes ago. So now let's talk about how do we say the price correctly. So if we see this figure, we just say, would you consider 560? Like I said before. If you see this figure, just say, would you consider 450 or 456? But usually we'll just say 450. For this, we just say, would you consider 1,050,000? Okay, because this is 1 million, this is 50. This is 1.2 million. Okay, so if you see these digits, okay, you'll know that it's over a million. Then when you see a 2 following by 1, then you just say, would you consider 1.2 million? If this is the figure that you see from a Zestimate, okay? I'm not saying that we just come up with a ghost number. You have to first click on the Zillow icon from the dialer. It's going to take you to the property website of Zillow on this address, and then we'll check this estimate on this particular address. And if it shows this figure, we'll just ask them, would you consider 1.2 million? If it's this figure, would you consider 1,050,000? Okay, so this is how you find a Zestimate, and we will need to use this in order to move forward with the script. Any questions? Feel free to send me a WhatsApp.